Have you considered using virtual assistants in your business but just weren't sure where to start or how it even works? I'm Adam Hooley and welcome to part 3 of my 7-part series on implementing virtual assistants into your business. Part 3 is going to be more about outsourcing the job functions in your property management business. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk through each of the core job functions that you can outsource out of your business. Now, outsourcing is definitely not limited to these job functions, and we're using specifically property management for this example. There are a lot of other job functions that you can outsource, but for this particular video, we're going to go through the property management, the core property management job functions that can be outsourced. So let's look at the list that we've got here for you. So the types of job functions that we've got is we've got team leaders, and as we saw in a previous part 2 of this particular series, is that after you get about 3 or 4 team members, then we encourage you to actually employ your own offshore team leader, and that again takes a lot of weight off you in managing the day-to-day of those particular team members, and it truly does give your offshore team scalability to grow as a bigger team and commit more to your business. So after the team leader role, we look at some of the tasks. Now, we did talk about some of these tasks in part 1. So rent arrears, lease renewals, repairs and maintenance, booking routine inspections, property leasing, marketing and issuing entry notices, and of course quality assurance and reporting, which is quite a big one. So let's just quickly, I'm not going to go through every single one of these in detail, but I just kind of want to pull them up for you. So in the team leader's role, it is truly that. It's exactly a team leader's role, and it's about driving productivity for your team, answering into the day-to-day questions. Now, generally, when you employ a team leader, they are really embedded into your business. So if you're having leadership teams in your business, I'm sure you would include your offshore team leaders in that. And they would have a clear understanding on your vision as a business and what you're trying to achieve. So they would act as your representative, I guess, for your team offshore, and they would help troubleshoot any problems that they've got. They would work with them around performance and efficiency, and of course they would work with our team around HR practices, making sure those teams are performing, turning up to work on time and things like that. So that's the important thing about team leaders. They also add, as you get a bigger team, you also add cover in there. So, you know, in onshore teams, we often struggle with cover. It's going to be no difference offshore, is that we want to provide adequate cover to ensure the tasks that they're doing are successful. And if they have to have leave, then a team leader allows them to step into those roles and cover those particular roles. It also gives you an offshore training contact when you do employ new team members. So number 2 is rent arrears. Again, we discussed this in a previous part. So rent arrears is actually one of the easiest tasks to outsource because it is so systemized. So they can generate arrears list for you. They can send out text reminders. They can call and email. Again, we're not talking about legislation calls here. We're just talking about friendly reminder calls. The tenants tend to respond to that stuff relatively quickly. And what we're finding here is because implementing VAs into this role is so low cost, you can actually afford to have the VAs pick up the phone and ring those tenants virtually every day and ask them when they're paying their rent next. They can issue termination notice. Again, it's a relatively easy task. And with most businesses that I work with these days, they are allowed to send, or they have the tenants tick the box that allows them to send everything by email correspondence, which actually helps when you're offshoring. They can also work with your lease break processes. And I've built lease break into a couple of these because they overlap. But if particularly the tenant doesn't pay their rent and you're going for an eviction, maybe you're instigating a lease break process as part of that as well. So number 3 is lease renewal processing. So again, we spoke about this in a previous part as well. So we're talking about here the lease renewal process once the owner gives approval. So it's just typing up the lease and getting it out to the tenant, and even contacting the tenant to follow up to get it back. But this can stretch beyond, and I've worked with many businesses that actually the VAs are doing the entire lease process. So as soon as at 60 days out, they're actually sending emails to the owners. They're doing the market appraisal for the property. Then they're typing up the lease, getting it out to the tenant. So actually doing the full process. So it doesn't need to be limited to exactly what I've got on the screen here at the moment. What we're doing is giving you the core stuff that's going to get you started and get you going. Number 4 is repairs and maintenance. This is also another easy one because repairs and maintenance is very systemized. And again, the VAs kind of start in this particular example I've got here. The VAs start post-approval from the owner, and they're sending out work orders, and then they're following up with maintenance people and tenants to make sure the work is being done. But again, with many other businesses that I'm working with that are outsourcing, they're doing the full maintenance schedule. So basically, they have an email where they send maintenance to, or if they're using a third-party maintenance program, the tenants load the maintenance in there, the VA picks that up straight away. They then email the owner with the maintenance request. So it can be a lot broader than what I've just got in this particular example. Number 5 is booking routine inspections. So this is one that they're very good at, and it takes a lot of weight off your property managers. They can actually map out and schedule all your routine inspections for you, set times, send out entry notices. And the big one here is that if something happens and your onshore team calls in sick and they can't go, then it's just a matter of messaging your VAs and they can reschedule all those routine inspections for another time. So there is a lot of PM time wasted in scheduling and rescheduling routine inspections, and that takes a lot of weight off your onshore team. The 6th one is property leasing. So they can do quite a lot here in property leasing. I've put in again the basics here, so they can actually take inbound calls. It's very common for businesses to have a defined leasing number, and that call goes straight to a VA, and they can then set up inspections and things like that. If you're using a booking program like Tenant Turner or Inspect Real Estate, they can then book them straight into those particular software programs. They can set up inspection times in those software programs, and they can actually, if you cancel an inspection or change inspection again, they can go back and contact everyone to make sure that they all know the inspection's been redone. Also, application process. It's very common. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about VAs doing application process, again, because it is very much of a process, and they can do most of the heavy lifting on that for you. Number 7 is marketing entry notices. So they can send out a lot of entry notices for you. There's no problems there, particularly now that we're doing lots of that by email. Also marketing. They do a lot of marketing. That's a very common job for VAs, not just in property management, also in the sales side of the business, where you create your marketing templates. When a property goes on the market, you send it to the VA. They know to do up brochures. They know to do up window cards. They know to get it up on the MLS or the portals. So they can be starting advertising, things like that. They help write descriptions. They'll crop all the photos and add them in and things like that. So again, taking a lot of time that a normal onshore team would spend behind a computer processing a lot of this stuff, it's more cost effective to send that offshore. Number 8 is quality assurance and reporting. So this is a big one, which is what we're finding is some businesses aren't doing this because they just don't have the team members. So what it allows you with the cost effectiveness of offshoring tasks to VAs, it now allows you to get more into that audit process for your business, or that quality assurance process in your business. So it allows the VAs to be checking files, and this is again the advantage of having everything electronic these days, making sure everything's scanned in your system, but also doing all your monthly and weekly reportings, which is quite time consuming. Your VAs can do all that as well. They can also deal with a lot of escalation issues, and I'm not talking about ringing clients and things like that, but making sure that's all very well documented and recorded, and follow-ups are in place to handle all those escalations. That's it. That's all I've got for you for part 3 of understanding how next generation virtual assistants can be implemented into your business. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel to get the other parts in this particular series. I'm Adam Hooley. Talk again soon.